Hi, we're still in that part of the Belgian Confession that deals with the works of God. And the thing that we're going to look at in this lesson is the providence of God. Article 13 of the Belgian Confession talks about the providence of God. It starts off this way. I'll just read the first sentence. We believe that this good God, after he had created all things, so that's what we spoke about in the last lessons, creation, did not abandon them or give them up to fortune or chance, but that according to his holy will he so rules and governs them that in this world nothing happens without his direction. And then the article goes on to speak about what the providence of God is. And just as a reminder, if you don't have a copy of the Belgian Confession, you can find it online at canrc.org, which is our denominational web page. So when we talk about the providence of God, then we're saying, as I read in the first sentence of Article 13, that after God created all things, he didn't abandon them, but he continued to uphold them. So the Reformed view of the providence of God speaks against the philosophical position known as deism. Deism says that after God created everything, he wound it up like a big clock, That's the image that was often used. Imagine a big grandfather's clock. You would wind it, and by winding it, you put all the powers of physics, etc., and into it. Right? If you wind up a clock, you wind the spring, and you put the powers of the powers of natural of nature just take over, and so that's what the deism says, that God put all the laws of physics, etc., into creation, and then he basically abandoned it. That God abandoned his creation, so that today God is kind of like an absentee landlord. He really doesn't have a whole lot of interest in the things that he has created. So we are saying that the Reformed view of the providence of God rejects deism, and we say that God is still intimately involved in his creation. The Reformed view of the providence of God also rejects astrology, the idea of astrology. In the newspaper, you always have the horoscope, right? You can buy it at the drugstore, based on the zodiac signs, and we're saying that no, that the astrology says that the stars determine our life. Stars determine our lives. All right? And the Reformed view of the providence of God says no, the stars don't influence life. Rather, God controls the stars. God controls the stars. He controls the sun, moon, and the stars. So, one too many S's there. So we reject astrology, and the Bible also very vehemently rejects astrology. I'm going to turn, and perhaps you want to turn in your Bible to, let me just jot it down here, Isaiah 47. Isaiah 47, maybe you want to look that up, verses 10 to 15, and especially verse 13. So let's take a look at that. So Isaiah 47, turning in my Bible to Isaiah 47, at verse 10. And now, you can read verses 10 through 15, but look at especially at verse 13. All the counsel you have received has worn you out. Let your astrologers come forward, those stargazers who make predictions month by month. Let them save you from what is coming upon you. All right, so God sort of mocks Israel, and he mocks the astrologers and the stargazers. So we reject deism, we reject astrology, the Reformed view of the providence of God. We also reject fatalism. Fatalism says that we are the victims of luck, and chance, that there is nothing, no other power in the universe but luck and chance and good fortune or bad fortune. God also spoke against that, and I'm turning again in Isaiah, and now to Isaiah 65. Isaiah 65, verses 11 to 12. Just want to read those. If you take a look at Isaiah 65, 11 through 12, then you'll see God says, I will, talking to Israel, at verse 11, they would spread a table for fortune. In my Bible translation, they capitalize it because it was a god, like a Canaanite or heathen god, and fill bowls of mixed wine for destiny. And God said he would destine them for the sword, for depending upon the false gods. So Israel was worshipping false gods, fortune and destiny, and God didn't speak well of that. All right, so the Reformed view of the providence of God then also rejects fatalism. I'm going to leave it at that for this lesson, and I'm going to carry on with more a positive view of what the providence of God means. So you see what we're doing here. We spoke about that the providence of God rejects deism, astrology, and fatalism. And in the next lesson, I'm going to speak about the positive view, what we positively mean when we speak about the providence of God, namely that God upholds and that God governs the universe that he has created.